What's going on, guys? It is MurderInc here, back with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today we are going to be talking about the fall of Trunda Guilt Mallet, the damage dealing champion that's been renowned and perceived to be the greatest nuker in pretty much the history of Raid since she's came out. She's an awesome A3 ability, A2 ability, deals absurd damage. However, that has all come to a direct and complete halt because of the arena meta and because of a lot of new things that have surfaced. So with that being said, let's get right into it. First off, you're going to see this and you're going to say, okay, what is this? Clickbait? What could you possibly have shown that no one else has seen? It really has nothing to do about what no one else has talked about. It's the why and how that I think wasn't broken down properly. So the champion we're going to be talking about today is going to be Magnar. He's part of the fusion, making him extremely valuable and accessible to many players, as he's one champion that you can focus out of this fusion and elect to keep him. And based on a lot of the feedback from the main fusion champion and what I'm going to show you here today, you're probably going to want to keep this champion. Now already some of you might be saying, Murder, I've seen Magnar, I've seen other content creators using him to do damage. The thing that I want to show you here today is why he's so good. So the first thing we're going to talk about is this chart right here. This is a chart breaking down Trunda and Magnar. As we can see, he is called Magnum here. This is a coin term from my friend Infinite. And of course, huge shout out to Infinite and HG Senti for putting all of this nice information neatly together in front of me. Saved me a ton of work, so huge shout out to you guys. So what this is basically showing is how you can get stats equally across both champions, assuming everything is the same. Their multipliers taken into account here, their base stat for their damage is taken into account here. Now, one thing that led me to do this is a lot of people are still saying they're going to skip Magnar, and I really don't understand why. And one key point a lot of people are overthinking here is, yes, we can see at the bottom of the delta how Magnar is technically minus 1.4%, so 1.4% worse overall than Trunda with the same exact gear and stats. One thing that I think people weren't considering when they kind of spread the gap between the two is think about HP percent and HP percent damage dealers. Defense down doesn't affect them, attack down doesn't affect them, but also it's the only damage dealer that can benefit from every single gear slot. So as we can see from this chart, the main point here is going to be the shield. Trunda cannot get attack percent from the shield. Magnar can get HP percent from the shield and can get HP percent from every single other slot available to him. So this in itself makes him a lot easier to build, and it helps compensate for, if you look at the bottom where it says critical, this is critical damage. Magnar has 50% base, Trunda has 63% base crit damage, so there is also that benefit to Trunda that is evened out slowly and slightly by the fact that Trunda cannot get any damage dealing base stat to that shield slot. So this might sound good and all, but you might be thinking, what about attack up? Now, attack up is a good point. Attack up will make Trunda better. However, there's still a lot more going for Magnar that people might not realize. With this meta, it's very hard to fit in an attack up champion. With Swift Parry, you really want to use champions like Gerptuk, you need a debuff stripper, and you pretty much want to use what's available to you. So with that being said, and even pushing that aside for a second, think about how Trunda works. You will always have a 3% chance of stunning and putting up that HP burn, making Magnar the significantly better damage dealer because he has no similar condition. His condition actually has to do with almost the reverse of Trunda. If HP burn is on the target and he cannot apply it himself on that ability, then he does less damage and has the opportunity to stun. So all of these things circulating together is going to, in a sense, kill Trunda in a lot of places that were used, and it's going to make the best nuker in the entire game accessible to the entire player base if you have enough resources to fuse just one of the epics from the current fusion. Now, unfortunately, if you're watching this down the line and the fusion's already over, or if you elected to go for the fusion instead of this champion, it is going to be a missed opportunity. However, you can still pull this champion, so there is hope, my friends. With that being said, let's go ahead and show you my Magnar here and how I geared him. He's currently in Savage gear and crit damage gear to kind of compensate here. We have 85,000 health, 190 speed, 2.2 thousand defense, 100% crit rate, of course, 287 crit damage. Now, another thing that you're going to notice right away, think of the survivability options here. Trunda really struggles here when Kandrafen or Mountain King counterattack, one-shotting Trunda. That's not going to happen with Magnar, I can guarantee you, and this all really has to do with what the meta currently is. If the meta had hard-hitting, single-target champions, I can't really think of any off the top of my head, Folly wouldn't really work because Folly's still not going to kill a Magnar, because like I said, you're stacking HP, which is a damage dealing increase for this champion, but a survivability increase for every single champion in the game. On top of that, his base defense isn't that low as well, so you also get that added benefit. So these are the gear, these are the masteries. Now the masteries are going to be kind of how you want to approach this champion. If you are using this with Gerptuck, you might want to take Stoke to Fury, which means you have to go down the opportunist route and kind of split off here. It can be done. You also get this added bonus of plus 810 HP, which once again, pure survivability and damaging stat increase on this champion. And you can take Cycle of Magic, you can also take Cycle of Violence. However, he is best used with Kymar. Of course, everyone doesn't have Kymar, which is why you can kind of compensate with these other skills. Even though it's not 100%, it is a chance to do the good work. So now that we did that, let's go ahead into the arena and show you guys some battles here. We are going to be in gold 4. However, I'm going to show you some screenshots from the top players in the game using this to their success. So first team we're going to fight here, not going to be using this whale team. Let's go ahead and start with, well, whale team to an extent. We are going to be using some pretty good champions here. Let's go with Kymar, if we can find the correct one. Let's see if it's this one, not that one. Okay, so we have our first Kymar here. Then we're going to go ahead and use Madame Ceres. We are going to use a Gerptuck. As we all know, Swift Parry is horrendous in its current state. Where's Gerptuck? There he is. And then finally, the man of the hour, Magnar. Okay, we're not going to start from auto because I want to kind of walk you guys through this, showing you exactly how good this champion is. Not like you haven't seen it 100 times before, but I do think it's important to showcase things like this. So we had the weak hit possibility there, although we're not too worried about that. We did get the unlucky resist there. Let's go ahead, defense down. Finally, using the A2, place extra hit on champions without HP burn. As you can see in front of us, there is no HP burn here. Another thing, going back to the masteries, if you are pairing it with Kymar, Opportunist is going to be ideal because he does provide the sleep, which does in fact synergize with this damage here. As you can see there, game, set, match. Couldn't even see the secondary numbers there because it all happened so fast. I should definitely go back and find another battle and make sure it's on 1x speed so we can properly see what the heck is even going on here. So let's go ahead and face this team here. Warlord, Drexstar. Defense up's going to be applied, as well as battle with the potential cleanse here. This one should be interesting. Now we're going to go ahead and start as we normally would. Proc the defense up. We didn't cleanse it on everybody, so that is a feels bad. The 2 red champions did get away with it. Let's go ahead and put on block buffs. Now we're going to strip buffs because we did think ahead and plan for any type of resistance there. Now let's use this double hit hard hitting ability. As you can see, clean. Once again, I forgot to put it on 1x speed, so let's refresh. Try to find a little bit harder of a team to fight, which is going to be a little bit hard since I'm quite a bit away from Platinum. But like I said, I do have a lot of really cool things to show you guys as far as Platinum goes. I really do want to showcase this against tanky teams, and perfect example, we have a weak affinity situation here showing Magnar against 2 blue champions. So let's see how this goes. Have the sleep, have the increased damage from Gerptuck. If you aren't impressed, okay, 1x speed, we remember this time with his damage, yet just remember that he is not mastery to scale well with Gerptuck and Kymar. If I did, the numbers would be much higher. So let's see how we do here. First weak hit, easy. Game, set, match. Now why do we use Kymar? Once you do get to those a lot tougher teams in Platinum, it may take a little bit more to kill them with just an initial A3. The same thing applies for Trunda. Once you start facing teams like Creamy's team, or another perfect example is Mac Chan, if I can find him. He has an extremely tanky team here. Most teams cannot one-shot this. Actually, I don't think any team can one-shot this, even with defense down, attack up with the Trunda here. So we're going to be seeing some screenshots shortly of just how lethal Magnar can be in the right hands. Alright guys, so here are those pictures. Huge shout out to Creamy and Fiesto, two people that I did take the screenshots from, showing how awesome their Magnar is. Keep in mind, this is a new kind of meta to the game here, HP based nukers, so don't be too discouraged if you don't have the gear. Pretty much nobody has the gear for these champions, so it's going to be a process to gear them up. However, if you are early game, mid game, just entering the end game, it's a perfect time to really capitalize on Magnar because he is extremely strong. But as we can see, looking at this first one, we have a 17-second win against a team that should be an absolute nightmare to most teams here, especially a Trunda team. If you have a weak hit on Cantrifin, she gets one shot, it's pretty much over. You have to rely on Sifi reviving, and the run will just take way too long. Moving on to the next image, once again with Creamy. If you don't want to use Magnar in something like a immunity set, you can take advantage of people who cleanse. Creamy used Rio here, really smart use, as well as Molly to counteract Hegemon, boosting everyone's turn meter. We're not even using an attack down here. Granted, this is a rather squishy team that we are facing. Moving on to Fiesto here, flexing with that trophy. We are fighting a Tormund Cantrifin team, another team that could absolutely be a nightmare for a Trunda or Magnar. No worries. 22nd team using Duchess, Madame Sayers, Warlord, and finally Magnar. Moving on to the last showcase of a Platinum team, how can we forget Necrit? Once again going Prince Kymar, Sifi, Madame Sayers, Magnar against a Lydia, Duchess, Necrit, Cantrifin. Absolute nightmare team for any Trunda. Magnar, as we can see from the time, 19 seconds, making a very quick work of this team. So I'm really excited for this Platinum reset. I think Magnar is going to appear in many places if people can capitalize on this, like our clan has this quickly, and it should really shake things up and not penalize people who have been kind of gambling with Trunda, with Cantrifin teams, seeing if they can in fact win quickly. So while all of this is good, everything that's been said is good, you have to consider, Murder, where else could I use Magnar? And that's quite simple here. Magnar is going to take the role of pretty much any nuker, but if you think about his kit really quickly, he also has another amazing benefit to him. Now, most players, and I completely understand where they're coming from, they cannot justify, despite how good this champion is, fully investing just to have an arena nuker. There are plenty other options out there, even though this guy is above and beyond of what you would ever want from one. Some people, that's not going to be enough, so you really have to consider what his other parts of his kit does. He has a debuff spread ability which can be amazing in dungeons, on top of him having some of the best wave clear in the game, especially since it isn't conditional. You're not really going to be running too many AoE HP burn champions in content that isn't Spider, so you will have that consistent double hit here. Of course, weak affinity is the thing, but it's going to be a thing for any non-void champion. Next, we have an A1 here that does in fact apply decreased defense. And to just go back to the Trunda comparison, why she's dead one more time, we are talking about an epic champion. We're not using legendary books, we're using much less material to ascend this champion. So all of these things have to be considered when making a claim and when comparing two champions. And as we saw from the straight math, considering equal gear, 1.4% damage has no chance of justifying everything Magnar can bring to the table that Trunda will suffer in, like the increased cost, the 3% chance to do significantly less damage than Magmar, and honestly, as much as we love Trunda thick thighs, look how sweet this champion looks. Alright guys, that's going to conclude my video today on Magnar, why Trunda is now dead for most players. Give me your thoughts, give me your feedback. If you are into Arena, are you excited? I know our clan is pretty much off the wall right now, loving using Magnar. He's someone new, he's someone fresh, and the survivability and tankiness he gets from the damage stacking this guy can do is pretty much just blowing everybody's mind. So hopefully, if you guys haven't already committed to the fusion, you were kind of iffy on which epic to pick, now is the time. Lock in Magnar, use him. He is going to be useful everywhere, As far as damage goes, he's not going to change and he can only get better over time. If they end up adding an increased HP champion, this guy just goes from God mode to whatever would be above God mode. So there's a ton to talk about, a ton to be excited about. Give me your feedback, let me know what you guys think. As always, if you guys enjoy this content, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I will see you all in my next upload.